Today we're going to be making a 3-word challenge drawing. Here is a quick example, but let's help you get set up. Here's what you'll need. You'll need a sheet of paper, about a 5x7, your 3-word challenge cards, which I have in this bucket up front, a pencil, and we're going to use some really nice Prismacolored colored pencils. These are better than regular colored pencils, so I'll show you how to use them here later in the video. So the first thing that you're going to do is come up and you're going to get 3 words, which are on my slip. And you're going to be putting them on this sheet of paper on the back side. So start off by putting your name first, then write 1, 2, 3, because you're going to make up 3 brainstorms for this drawing. Let's take another look at a different example. This is one that I've done before using 3 words. So I had penguin swings and olives, and I came up with 3 different ideas. My favorite idea though was just an olive army launching penguins from a swing. So you'll notice here that I've used all of my elements and principles of design in my artwork. I've used emphasis to emphasize the red strip that's holding the penguin and flinging it. The objects are getting smaller as they go back into space to create space. I'm looking at creating values with my colored pencils to make them look even more blended. And then the concept behind this drawing is a little bit more comical. So you can decide for your drawing if you want it to be funny or if you want it to be, serious. You just need to include all 3 words into your drawing. So to recap, on the back of your paper, you have your name and you have the numbers 1, 2, and 3 written. Behind your name, you're going to write out your 3 words because you're going to return your slip back to me so I can use it for the next class. Again, the requirements for this assignment are as such. You need to use all 3 words in your drawing, but the next step is that you actually have to use personification of at least one of your words. So personification means that you're giving human-like qualities to an inanimate object. In the example I showed earlier, my peas actually became a live human army. So for this example, I might decide to take a watch and I might decide that the watch is riding a giant snail in an ocean of noodles. You do need to come up with at least 3 brainstorms, so you can't just choose the very first idea that you have, because real artists actually make multiple ideas before they really decide that maybe their first idea was the best one, maybe their second idea was their best one. So you'll notice that I'm going to write out just my other 2 ideas, and then I'm going to choose which idea I would like to use for my final drawing. Circle the option you choose. The more creative you can get with your ideas, the better it'll be for your final project. So once you decide, for me, I like option number 3, so I'm going to choose that one to make my final picture from. It says that I'm going to make a snail and a watch in a tug-of-war match using a noodle for the rope. When you start your drawing, be sure to draw large. You want to fill the entire paper as you're drawing. Again, we're focusing on our elements and principles of design as we build this project. So when I go to grade this, I am going to have you self-assess and see how you're doing with it, including your elements and principles into your design. So think about how can you make things overlap? How can you make things emphasize by either making them large or small? How can you create texture even though there's maybe not actual texture happening? Can you create space by overlapping things? Is there a way to make your lines kind of unique? So I have noodles in this example. Maybe I want to take some extra time to draw some extra noodle lines. There are many possibilities that you can do with this drawing. I just encourage you to show me your very best drawing skills and your very best creativity. There really is no right or wrong with this assignment. Obviously, it needs to be school appropriate, but I'm looking again, the 2 biggest things I would love to see you showcase. What is your drawing style? Is it cartoon or is it more realistic? And then how far can you stretch your creative brain? Is it really outlandish in the surrealist world or is it a little bit more logical? Again, either option is okay, but I just want to see that growth as an artist as we go through the semester. I'm just going to take a little bit more time to finish up my drawing here to make sure that I have everything as I would like it to look before I begin my coloring process. When you get close to feeling like you're finished, take another look at your 3-word challenge drawing rubric. Double check the principles and the elements that are listed there. Do you have many of them? And you should really have all of them. If you do, then you're probably ready to start the coloring section. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the coloring portion of our drawing, and this is our 3-word challenge drawing. So when we talk about coloring, we're gonna be using good coloring techniques, and we're gonna actually be using colored pencils that are called Prismacolors. These Prismacolors are much higher quality than just a regular colored pencil. So when we use Prismacolors, it's actually really helpful just to use a handheld pencil sharpener when you need to sharpen them. But you can use my colored pencil sharpener if you need to. Just know that when you stick these in a sharpener, it generally eats them up really, really fast versus just using a hand sharpener. The reason why these are so nice is because they actually blend really nicely together. They have kind of this creamy nature to them that just makes, when you're trying to make something look a little more 3D or blend colors together, it just has this nice soft ability to blend nicely together. So moving ahead, I'm gonna kind of start looking at my colors here that I might want to use for this picture. So my tip is to maybe start in the background and work towards the foreground. That way you're maybe not coloring over the top of something you've already colored. So when I look at my background in my sky, I could use just a blank old blue and I could fill it in, but I want to use some value and some coloring techniques to spice it up just a little bit. So maybe it's, I don't know, midday, so maybe I want to add in, I don't know, maybe just a couple different variations of blue just to make it a little bit more exciting. So for me, I actually am right-handed, so I'm going to turn my paper to make it a little bit easier for me to work with. And I'm going to just start kind of near the bottom here and start coloring and filling in my paper. And the idea here is that we want to work in small little ovals. Okay. So I'll kind of slow it down. You can see my little oval marks. The reason why we use ovals is because then when you notice that I'm filling in this section, it blends just really nicely together. And coloring takes time. It's slow and it's methodical. So if you're rushing your coloring, you're gonna get what we call zhuzh lines, and it's not gonna look very good. So you'll notice I'm kind of overlapping here a little bit, and that fills in that space so that I don't have these weird rough cuts as I'm going around. So I am kind of doing an outline a little bit first. We don't want to create what's called the halo effect. The halo effect is when you don't quite get close enough to the edge, and then we have this awkward, almost like halo around the object. So I'm going to just kind of fill this in with just a flat value first, and then add in some more texture details of value to give it a little bit more spice. My tip when you color the edge of your paper is to use just strokes going in one direction off of your paper. Once you finish your first light flat value, then you can start going over it again and adding a little bit darker areas maybe near the top. That creates this illusion of 3D depth to the piece. Again, work with multiple colors. My bench, I used 3 different types of browns and reds in order to create the illusion of light and shadow. When you start coloring the land areas of your picture, it's important to think that land goes horizontally, so your line should also be going horizontal across your little index card. Remember to add your shadow areas. So like underneath my snail here and underneath the watch, I'm going to add a little bit darker brown areas to indicate that this is a shadow area. You'll notice as I color this snail shell that I turn my paper every single time I make a mark. This is called cross contour coloring. This creates a more effective illusion that this shell is a little bit more rounded. So this is another effective technique when you're coloring to make things look a little bit more 3D. So to recap some coloring strategies, the best thing to do is to work from the background to the foreground, to work in the same direction with your coloring lines, and think about if it's land, it should be going horizontally. You can also use cross contour lines in order to create a more 3D look. And then to really start thinking about where is the light hitting your object so that you can create highlights, and where are the shadows or the darkest parts so that you can create a more 3D look to your final drawing.